All right, welcome back to another episode of Toon Overload. We watched episodes 4 through 6 for this week of Family Guy,
Yeah.
and I, just to start off, I feel like these episodes were like a lot better than like the first three because you can kind of tell like the writing's getting a little bit better. It's like it's not a lot, but like it's something.
Yeah.
So the first episode we watched was episode 4. It was called Mind Over Murder, and I wrote like these little brief descriptions for each episode, and I love this one where I just wrote down Peter opened a bar in his basement, and the first thing I would like to point out is I really enjoyed the fucking joke they opened with the goddamn Mentos Abraham Lincoln ad.
Yeah.
Uh, like I don't know what the fuck the correlation was. I thought it was like solid though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it maybe had like a reference, but I didn't get it. It went over my head.
Like
It was just
like I know a lot of the references in Family Guy are like from like the 70s or 80s, and you know, I have a mom and like two uncles that grew up in that time period, and I asked them one time because like I've binge watched Family Guy like a few times, and
mhm.
I always go to them and I'm like, hey, what the fuck is like the Abraham Lincoln Mentos thing? And they're just like, I don't know that. Um, this is also kind of like a milestone episode because this was also like the first introduction to the fucking beer of Family Guy, the Pawtucket Patriot ale beer, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I think it's beer.
Yeah, this is the first like actual mention of it because you know that's like one of the big things about Family Guy is like The Simpsons has Duff. Um, I'm trying to think of like some other like famous alcohols and I can't.
Yeah,
Uh,
then what comes to mind is Duff.
yeah, like The Simpsons has Duff. Family Guy has Pawtucket Patriot. But this was also like the first time that we had like the concrete design to Cleveland and Quagmire, which
Yeah.
I think Quagmire showed up in like an episode or two that we watched before these. I know Cleveland
Yeah, he
did.
was in one of the first three.
I know Cleveland did where he was like wearing that fucking tank top and he like pops his head in and he's like, "Hey, is my son over here?" But
Yeah.
this is like the first time it's like, yeah, he's the slow talking yellow shirt black guy.
Yeah, and Quagmire's the pervert.
Yeah, the fucking horny Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I don't think it was as good as the first episode we watched, which was I'm trying to or that last episode we watched where it was the fucking cult episode where Meg joins cult.
Oh,
Like I
yeah,
think
we're Meg doing the cult.
yeah, I think that episode was still better than this one, but it got it done. Like sometimes the episodes are just gonna be mid because like you're supposed back in the day especially you were just supposed to catch them as like a rerun on fucking Cartoon Network or Fox.
Mhm. Yeah, episodes 5 and 6 were definitely the best out of the three.
Oh yeah. Um, I love one of my notes I have down here where it was where because like I would take it down or I would like write I would like jot it down like section by section.
Mhm.
Um, and I I'm just trying to figure out like what the fuck was my thing here where it was just like I just wrote down outdated trans joke because of
Oh, I don't. Oh, what was that?
because like fucking Peter like was like giving shit to that woman that he was sitting down next to. He just kept saying like, "Hey, buddy," you know.
Oh, yeah, the lady that he punched, thinking it was a dude.
Yeah, and every time someone was like, "Give her some space," don't you mean give him some space? She's giving birth. Don't you mean he's giving birth? And I was just like, I couldn't tell. That was just like a fucking like, that whole like thing where people will just be like, "Hey, I can't tell if she's fat or she's pregnant." I couldn't tell if it was like going for that direction or if it's just like, "Hey, here's a '90s trans joke."
I think it was just because she was so manly looking. that it was hard to tell that she was a woman. That and she was kind of fat.
Oh yeah, that too. Like so, like when like would the like technical definition of that be like butch?
Yes,
Yeah, cause
I
like
do
they,
believe.
yeah, cause like they also like gave her like some fucking facial hair too. So that's why I was just like, yo, what's the swerve we're going with? Like I
Yeah,
hate.
just a very manly woman.
j- Yo, Family Guy has butch representation in the '90s. Modern TV, where's yours?
Hey, they've got the gay dude that's Peter's boss,
Oh yeah, I gotta
bench pressing the what's his name?
Guillermo.
Yeah,
I have
bench pressing.
I have a
Totally.
I have a fucking I have a note for that specifically when we get to that episode. I fucking love it. But the next one I have is there's like this really fucking common like joke I keep seeing on like Twitter and TikTok now where it's like, do they ever use the sunroom? What does the sunroom look like? And like this is the first time we actually have a fucking picture of the sunroom. And I was just like, man, like I know this is like an episode you don't see aired that much, but I thought more people would do what the fucking sunroom looked like, cause it's just like it's just a room with a fucking bench, another TV, and like four or five chairs. Um, yeah, like, um, I also I didn't just write down like notes. I had like little complaints. Like I also felt like there was just a fuck ton of cutaways in like this episode. Like they felt like there was like one like every like minute or so.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember most of them, but like um there's the Mentos one. There was the fucking I think this was the one with Peter where he like fucking pressed the button and like that like karate guy just like fucking beat the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, kicks him in the face.
Yeah, that's my one issue now. It's like I can't remember them outside of like the like two and like the second one I'm just kind of iffy on like, did that happen in this episode? Was that another one, you know? Um
Yeah.
this is also um a very very common episode theme that's going to be happening going forward, and I'm going to put like a little fucking counter specifically for it. Is there's just like these random episodes where like Lois gets fed up, Lois cracks, she's pissed, just like that's the whole fucking episode theme. And this one's justifiable. Peter was just being a shitty husband. He didn't help her out around the house. Like he was, he sat there and he's like, "Oh, hey, I got dinner." And she was just like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "Yeah, here's a whole ass fish. You know what the fuck to do."
Yeah, he's being extra condescending that episode.
Yeah, and then like when, later in the episode when like people actually start coming to his bar because, Lois was like doing her whole entertainment shtick, he was getting jealous because he's like, "Hey, I opened the bar for me. Why is everybody coming to see her? This is my bar."
They were just pretending to like, trying to be nice.
And they framed it as like oh yeah, she's sexy, and that's why the people are coming. And I'm like, a lot of the time live entertainment does like a fuck ton for like these restaurants.
Absolutely.
And I kind of like the music choice because like there's like a malicious compliance thing where she was like, "Hey, I'm singing some cool songs, but I'm also just throwing sneak disses at Peter."
Yeah,
And
she was like, this is for my supportive husband. She's just dissing him in that song.
I'm like, I kind of fucked with it on like Loki. I kind of fucked with it because I don't that this was like a weird era of like animation where like you still had like fucking Wilma Flintstone on the air who was like, hey, it's seen as a big deal when she talks back to her husband and shit, but like 90% of the time she's gonna do what he says because the man is right.
Hmm.
There was like a lot of that shit around the time, and then you just had fucking Lois who was like, yeah, I don't take my shit from my husband. He's kind of a dick. Especially like um I really like the part where she was like doing the dishes and you could just see all the beer glasses like stacked up, and it's like, yeah, he should have done that. It's his bar. And then just in there like, hey, can you make some crab cakes?
Clam cakes, I think they were about 600 of them.
Yeah, and I was just, I, I'm like, dude, if that was anybody else, they would have just smacked the shit out of you. But she just fucking talked you off. And,
Yeah.
he wants to act like the victim. And the last note I wrote for it was just like, that fucking joke where it's just like, is this like a fat woman or pregnant joke or a trans joke? It wraps around to the end where like he straight up asked that guy, he's like, hey, are you a woman? No. Fucking just wails the shit out of him.
Make sure.
I was just like, that was good. Oh, and that fucking back and forth in the supermarket where he's like, your wife has nice melons. What the fuck? Peter, I'm holding melons. Yeah, she has some nice hooters too. Oh, okay. I know that one was Peter, I'm holding hooters.
They're freaking owls.
And then he's just like, your wife's hot. And I'm like, okay, there it is. But like, for the most part, I thought it was like a solid episode, like a 6 out of 10. Like it's
Yeah.
it's nothing special. Okay, but speaking of something actually special, we have the introduction of Joe.
That one was a good episode.
Yeah, the little synopsis wrote it. It's just Joe moves in, Peter gets jealous again.
Again.
Um, like I wrote this one later on, but these last two episodes, I feel like they really hammered in that like fucking Brian is supposed to be like Peter's straight man.
Hmm.
Like Peter does something stupid, and then Brian's like, "Hey, you're doing something stupid." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I am doing something stupid."
Yeah, he's not Stewie's little best friend sidekick yet.
Yeah, which I do enjoy that, but also I just enjoy like Brian and Peter. But that Mr. Weed thing, I'm really happy you brought it up because like I just wrote down Mr. Weed does a gay
Does a game.
because he's just like, this is Guillermo, and he just looks like a very stereotypical like fucking Mexican otter. I think that's the correct term where it's like you're not quite a twink, but you're not quite a bear.
Something like that.
And he, the full fucking joke of like, oh man, I caught him bench pressing Mr. Weed, and it's like,
In the locker room.
and I,
It's like, ooh.
and that's where I wish fucking Peter would have just said that God, or Brian would have just said that line where he's like, why do the pretty ones gotta be so stupid? Because there was that fucking joke in the welfare fraud episode where he's just like, oh, I broke David's penis, and he throws it in, and Mr. Weed just fucking like flops onto the ground. He's like, I shall call you Eduardo. And I'm like, Marble cannot feel that good for one of those.
No.
Um, I also really enjoyed like the fucking Wheel of Fortune bit where it's like, go tuck yourself in, and
I totally read that as go fuck yourself.
I think that's the joke.
It was. I didn't even realize the words weren't filled in yet. I just read it that way.
Cause like Chris responded with like, Dad, you almost had it, and Peter was just like, how was I supposed to guess my hairy aunt? And I was just like, bro, like for a fucking like 5 second gag, that was like way too good. Um, and there was also that fucking just like random joke where like Peter's like, oh, I hate neighbors. They always like borrow shit and don't give it back. Like that last guy who borrowed my fucking toaster.
Oh, and then it cuts to the guy killing himself.
Yeah, because like for the note, I just said Peter might have assisted with a suicide. Because like I know,
Like, how does that dude not have a toaster? I
I
guess the wife took it. The wife took the toaster.
that's why he was fucking sad about the custody. He couldn't make fucking BLTs. Um, another fucking thing I really thought was funny, and I don't know if you noticed it, but like, Bonnie has like a very distinct voice,
I
and
she plays in something else. I recognized her voice from somewhere. I just cannot remember what her name is.
um, but she has like that Jennifer Tilly, I think. Yeah, I just looked it up, but it's like Jennifer Tilly. She's the fucking bride from Chucky.
Oh, that's what it is. I knew her voice from somewhere.
And you know what? I actually have to question now because like I wrote down this note, but like I can't tell if, like if that's just her normal voice or if, like she's doing one because there was like she was like in the middle of talking as Bonnie and she just like cut to like normal talking where it wasn't that fucking like boo boo baby voice. So I was just like I
I
can't.
think I think she's just kind of nasally.
You know what? That
I
it's
think
kind.
that's just her voice.
I think it's even funnier now that she's like the voice of the fucking female doll in Chucky. I forgot her name.
Well, she plays human at first, and then she turns into the Chucky's wife, the doll.
You know, I have like I have the fucking page open. Yeah, her the doll's name is just Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany.
The, okay, Chucky and Tiffany, I guess. It that just reminds me that like Child's Play is like one of those movies that like it gets referenced so fucking much, and I still just have never watched it. But like,
I'll have to watch it at some point.
oh,
I know
definitely.
you don't like horror movies, but it's not that bad.
Well, like I've started getting into horror movies. I I want to see Nosferatu really badly.
Oh, I want to watch the new Nosferatu so bad.
Yeah, but but yeah, like Peter, back to get back on track. Peter fucking was like he had to go replace fucking Mr. Weed's boyfriend, and there was just that random scene where like he just looked at the Japanese baseball player and was just like, "Hey, what's your compensation you're gonna give me?" He's just like, "I'll
I
love
love
you,"
you long time.
and I'm I know that's like so fucking outdated because like a racist humor is like a fucking taboo now, but like that somehow just aged well. Because you could tell like he he meant it genuinely like oh shit I have to pay this guy I I I, I guess I can say something um and then it gets to the part where like he goes over to Joe's house because fucking Lois is like oh yes Peter he played baseball in college
College.
and he goes over there and he does like the whole fucking little conversation and shit. He's like, "Oh hey, I was faking Tourette's,"
Son of
and
a bitch, son of a bitch, son of a bitch.
and they just like fucking turns into Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, just Mighty Morphs and a Mickey Mouse. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, copyright infringement, am I right?
Am I right?
Um, it was just it was something like I there was not much to say about it. It's just like he just fucking became Mickey Mouse after a joke about copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the I
And
just
then Joe saves the baseball game, and then Peter's pissed off again. He's jealous, so he goes to fucking stop a bank robbery and totally fails.
oh yeah we fucking skipped over that Joe just like casually fought the Grinch.
Yeah, like the blue version of the Grinch that knows really good karate.
Yeah, like I wrote down Joe fights the Grinch parentheses potential Matrix reference because
Oh my god.
because just that was such like a highly detailed fight scene for just like a random like gag,
Yeah.
and I don't know why I fucking like it, especially where he was just like, you might bid me do you might something, but kiss my green ass and I'll see you in hell,
Yeah.
and I don't know why that was just like really fucking funny to me because it was also just like extremely out of nowhere. But yeah, Peter fucking goes and he stops the bank robbery with improv. Just like,
Brian said to improvise. Are you
yeah,
gonna improvise or do you got a plan?
and his plan was just to fucking like use an actual child as a human shield. And I'm not gonna lie, I would have wanted to see how that fucking does because it could have just been something really random. And yeah, I also just wrote down there like there's like a fuck ton of just like random like referential humor, like a lot more than like the
Mhm.
past episodes. I did really enjoy like the gag where like Peter's like, oh yeah, I'll be a fucking pet shop owner let me check your dog for worms, and the robber just hands him the fucking gun.
Yeah. They just agreed to do improv.
He's like, ah, fuck it, sure, why not? And I like that. This is one of my favorite episodes of all time because like I fucking love Joe, and I feel like they couldn't have done like a better introduction episode.
Mm.
Um,
He's like the complete opposite of Peter.
yeah, and that's kind of like why I like him a lot. Is he just he isn't just fucking paraplegic Peter.
Paraplegic Peter.
Oh yeah, there's that whole fucking subplot where Stewie was trying to get in his wheelchair because he's like half man, half machine.
He's like cyborg.
And Lois was like, "Hey, you can't point." But I don't think you could ask for fucking better representation than Joe for like fucking handicapped people.
Mm.
Speaking of, just the random, just fucking toss away line of "Holy crap" or "Holy cripple, it's a crapple."
Holy cripple, it's a crapple.
But so episode 6 here, the sun also draws like I this is like an episode I feel really indifferent about. Like I didn't even have like a little snarky comment on it. It's just like Chris is in scouts. They somehow get to a fucking Indian casino and Lois fucking gambles away all their money.
Lois cannot be trusted in casinos.
And this was like we didn't see it, but this was like the first mention of Stewie's teddy bear Rupert because he fucking walked in on Peter and Lois banging.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I'll go get your teddy bear," and I'm like, I think that was like one of the few standout moments for me, because this is once again this is like what I'm gonna deem like a rerun episode.
Mm.
Also, I forgot to put this like Joe's introduction episode, the title, a heroes next door. I personally give it like a 9 out of 10. I forgot to give the rating.
That title was good.
Yeah, but this episode, yeah, just calling it a rerun episode, like the fucking shit you're just gonna see at like 3 a.m. on Adult Swim when you're like, you wake up in the middle of the night to get a drink and you can't quite go back to sleep. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Something you put on.
there's Stewie's the first mention of Rupert. Stewie walked in on Peter and Lois boinking. Um, yeah, this is also where the Peter's like obsession with Happy Days is just like randomly inserted in.
His vision.
Yeah, the fucking fawn's going, "Ayy!"
Hey.
And I, the whole Happy Days like thing for me with Family Guy is just you either understand it or you don't. It's like not a fucking good in between because I don't think Happy Days is like one of those things where like everybody knows it. So
Yeah, I don't. I've never watched Happy Days. So.
yeah, like I grew up in a household where like my mom really liked it, so that's why I know it. And this just like goes back to like how I think Family Guy is like just what Seth MacFarlane wanted as a TV show, so he's just putting in the references he wants.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, there's just like a bunch of like random episodes that just hinge on the fact of like, do you know Happy Days? And Peter just sits down. He's like, "Hey, this is the episode where the Fonz goes, hey," and then he does the fucking thing,
Hey. Yeah.
and like that. That's just the weird part to me. Is like, but so the plot just like goes along. Is like, Chris is at Scouts. He doesn't like Scouts. He wants to be an artist. The Scoutmaster weirdly wants to stand on people's back while they do push-ups.
That was weird.
And I did enjoy like Chris's drawing was just like the Scoutmaster's fucking faces on his
Ass
ass.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, like I enjoy some good PG humor like that where it's like I'm not gonna say, but you know what I'm saying. Um, the other issue I had with this episode is we're gonna see another episode down the line. I think it's in season 2 or it's in season 3, where it's just roughly the same fucking plot, but instead of them going to Indian casino, it's they just go to New York because Chris makes it big as an artist.
Mm.
So it's just like this weird. It I was watching it and I'm like, this feels so similar. So this is either the Indian casino episode or the fucking episode where they go to New York. And it took like we had to get to like halfway in the episode where I finally was just like, oh, this is the Indian casino episode because they literally went to the casino. But this there's just an issue with like Chris focused episodes where um they just don't know what the fuck to do with him because like one of my
Mm.
notes was just like Chris isn't a gooner yet
Chris isn't a gooner yet.
because like the first like his first line is like go dad fight the man, so it's like okay, they want him to be an activist, and then this episode is like, oh, they want him to be a soft spoken artist boy, and then he becomes a gooner.
He becomes a gooner.
it's just
Uh,
it's just so hard to fucking make an episode built around him. Like you can have episodes built around Meg because it's like there's a lot of shit to explore as a teenage girl.
yeah.
Chris, it's just like what the fuck's his personality?
It's not
Um,
there yet.
he got kicked out of scouts because he ran over his scoutmaster because he fucking misconstrued a flag waving, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't think that would get me kicked out of scouts, or like someone would get kicked out of scouts about it because like the guy was being a fucking a nincompoop. I almost said something else, but he he was like, okay, so don't go under the flag wave. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all what a flag wave is, and it's like it's just a filler episode. It's like fucking it's like an episode from an anime where it's just like they go to the supermarket instead of killing God.
Oh yeah, and they had the like the God, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess it was an anime reference.
Oh, Speed Racer.
Yeah, Speed Racer.
Yeah, that was another thing I just wrote down was like this episode just has so much fucking like random referential humor.
Yeah.
Like Carrot Top. Oh, I did like how all the fucking Native Americans had like the really goofy names like watches UP,
Yeah,
steals
this
your
one was
money.
definitely a little more racist.
Yeah, and you can tell that they fucking like wrapped around to touch on it because they were just like the Native Americans may have lost their way here, but not all tribes are like that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, I
Stewie's
like the more you know at the end. That's another reference.
yeah, because Stewie was like how you said they were dirty Mexicans. The Mexicans are actually quite clean people. And then Peter's just like, I fucking hate Canadians.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm trying to fucking drag this out because like, there's not much to talk about with this episode. Yeah, like
No.
Chris isn't a fucking gooner. There was the joke where it's just like, it was just a random ass gay joke. Yeah, literally in my notes, I just have down. See, it's funny because he's gay.
He's gay.
Um, another like, I have more complaints than I actually do fucking notes for this episode. Jesus Christ. Um, the multiple incest jokes.
Oh yeah.
Like, because Meg was like, "Oh, well, just sit down in Dad's lap and give him a kiss." Oh,
And it's funny.
that's why I fucking made the fucking comment of, see, it's funny because gay.
Oh yeah.
Because fucking Peter's like, we're never gonna talk about this again,
It's
and
like, oh, that only works with Meg.
like I love that just they actually like made Chris look like visibly like disappointed,
Yeah.
and I think the other one was just I for Jesus I know there was another one. I think it was like something where like they were doing the spirit quest thing, and he
Oh,
damn,
hmm.
I'm actually blanking. I thought the
Trying to
spirit.
think too.
I did think the spirit quest stuff was like a lot. I thought it was interesting. You know, the Fonzie showed up. The trees were actually talking to him, and then one of the trees just whips out a lighter.
Like lights themselves on fire.
Yeah, but something about like talent, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well your mother does this thing," and Chris is like, "Play the piano." Yeah, yeah, play the piano.
Oh yeah, he was gonna like he was referring to something else, and he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Like this is definitely an episode where I just Peter felt like an actual father and not just like, "Oh yeah, I live with kids." But yeah, I'm like legitimately trying to think. Like I just know that fucking joke like caught me off guard. But yeah, it was just something. It was like something fucking weird. Um, and then like they felt like this is my other issue with this episode is it already felt like they were just like, hey, we need to figure something the fuck out for the plot. Lois
Mm.
just like gets rid of all their money, and Peter had to take a huge shit, and
Yeah, I
like,
should. You were right about that prune smoothie.
and I just sat there and was like, why the hell would you eat a prune smoothie?
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Sounds like something you would drink if you like actually needed to shit. Not
like
just on a. Hey, that sounds good.
I know like people actually like eat prunes sometimes because I know it's just not a I know it's not like just a fucking like thing that you do when you need to shit,
Yeah.
but it yeah, there's just not much to say about this episode. So
Yeah.
I do you have any like points you wanted to touch on about like the three episodes we watched?
Um, not really. Nothing that specifically comes to mind.
I I I did think it was kind of funny or interesting that like two out of the three episodes like start off with like Stewie like centric things
Mm.
because like I enjoy when he's not just like evil genius but like when he's like they play into like he's actually a baby.
Oh, like when Lois put on Teletubbies.
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to touch on. Is I fucking hated that POV shot when he was teething at the end when he grew the teeth, and I hate
Oh,
that shot.
yeah. That was gross. Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
And I don't I once again couldn't tell if it was just like they thought it was funny or if it was just like a reference, but like I conquer this mouth in the name of Incisor.
And Sizor.
Like that's something I've actually like said out loud a few times. It's like I just like it. I think it's like kind of witty, but I don't know if it's like a reference.
And
But
then in the Joe episode, she gives him the binky and he just smooth passes out.
yeah, like I know a lot of people say it about South Park, but like some of the best like stuff you can do with Stewie is just letting a baby be a baby.
Yeah.
And the South Park analogy is just like, hey, when the kids are being kids, like instead of just like commenting on like world events, they're just like, yo, I pulled a fucking Charizard Pokemon card. How much do you think this is worth? You know, I enjoy that. Like this is oh yeah, this is also like when Stewie like brought up the time machine.
Oh, and he got drunk too.
Oh yeah, and like he fucking was like gushing over the lady with the Barney pin.
Yeah. And it was, yeah, Barney.
I thought that was really good,
That was good.
but this might be a good time to wrap it up. I don't think I could drag shit out like because episode 6 was just kind of meh.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it.
Um, episode 4 and 5 like legitimately really good. Episode 6 just meh, but
Yeah.
we have the season finale next week plus the season premiere of season 2 and the
Ooh.
the episode after that, which I'm excited for because You know, it's not just like a 7 episode season. Like, I know we probably could have just like snuck, the finale into here, but like, I feel like 3 episodes is like a good enough like block to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I think I don't got much more to say. Do you have anything?
Nope. See you next week.
Yeah, just just see you next week. Thank you, episode 6. You ruined my night. I'll see y'all guys later. Toodaloo.